Hi guys, it's Steph from IDRIVEACLASSIC, and today I'm out in modest suburbia and I'm driving something which was the absolute dream car of many a man in the 1970s, the Ford Mk2 Capri. Now, we're going to take this car out today and I'm going to show you around the outside, and it's a gorgeous shade of red, so I think you're going to love it. I'm going to show you the inside, start her up so you can hear how the engine sounds, and then we're going to take her for a drive and I'll let you know what I think, but so far I'm incredibly impressed. So stay tuned and we'll have a look around this car. Guys, before I start the car up, I just want to show you something, and this is so funny. Look at my hair, it's literally touching the roof. Probably should have made it a little bit lower for today. Anyway, I'm going to flip the camera around now and we're going to start this car up because I cannot wait to hear what it sounds like. It's a little bit fiddlier than what I'm used to, but let's give her a go. So you've got to kind of push it in, and as you can see, we've got some lights on the dash there. Yeah? So let's hear what she sounds like. Also, my very favourite, as you'll probably know from videos, the wooden dashboard is back. So let's have a listen to how it sounds. This sounds like a very impressive 1.6. Now, we've got to start it up, so it's time to take her up for a drive and belt up. Before we head off, let's have a look around this car. And for those of you that are a little bit eagle-eyed, you'll realise that we aren't filming where we've just been, and that's because I've slightly had to change up this video for security reasons. And the reason for that is this: Fords, especially old Fords, are one of the most stolen cars in the classic car community. And in light of making sure that we do everything we can to make sure whilst filming this video we don't make it abundantly clear where Colin lives or where the car is stored, we're filming away from the house, and it's quite sad really, because it's one of those things, but I think it's just testament really to how iconic these cars are, that they are so in demand that people are willing to go to crazy lengths to get them. And my God, what a car this is. And I hope as I show you around it that it's becoming abundantly clear how cool it is. Like everything about it, from the styling, you know, through to the colour, through to the vinyl roof as well. It's just absolutely exceptional. And it's got some nice period stickers on there as well. So you've got classic Ford and Don't Ban 4-star from Practical Classics. And I believe there are various places in the UK that you can still buy 4-star, but for a little bit of a technical fact for you is that you can run petrol in a 4-star engine. My car's originally ran on 4-star. This would have run on 4-star. You know, modern petrol just burns a little bit hotter, and you can either add some additive, or you can put a new unleaded head on. So you've got a couple of options there. Colin didn't let me know or not whether he's put a new unleaded head on, but quite a few people just tend to put leaded additive on. So now we've had a look around the outside of the car, let's take a little look inside. As I opened the door on the Ford Capri, you probably noticed I had to squeeze it and not pull it towards you, which I was really confused about for ages. Now, as we have a look around this car, you'll notice that it screams 1970s. Everything about it, from the wood dash, which for those of you who've watched my previous videos about Triumphs, I absolutely love a wooden dash. I think it's really classy. It looks really nice in a car. And then you've got your velour seats as well, as you've just spied. And as you look around, you'll notice that everything's very neatly put together, which I quite like. I think it's, for its time and for the age of the car, it feels quite modern. It feels very 70s, but I know at the time that you would have got in this car and you would have thought, ooh, this is a big step up. And it's a lot more, and I'm sorry to say it, it's a lot more exciting than some of the British stuff that you look at. It's very racy, it's very daring, you know, it's very kind of, it ticks all the generic 70s boxes. I mean, look at those seats. The velour seats are just, they are really comfortable as well, actually. And you've got little armrests there. Everything about this car, right through to these, the pockets at the back of the seats, it just screams cool, luxurious, amazing, covetable. It's really no wonder that people thought these cars were just to die for, because honestly, I am impressed. Now, before we zoom off and I have a chat to you about the car and how impressive it is to drive, because spoiler, it is so cool, I thought I'd give you a peek under the bonnet, because there's a lot going on under here actually. And again, this feels very advanced, because when you look at something of a similar age like a Marina, it looks very different. So let's pop that bonnet down and start driving. what can I say about this Ford Capri? I got straight into it and I said to Colin, I said, look, this is a big car. I'm going to take it out for a drive so I can get a bit of a feel for it before we hit the open road. And all I can say is this: I got straight into it and I could drive it straight off the bat, and oh my god, is it amazing. Listen to how that engine sounds. It is beautiful. I always say, when people lend me their cars, I always say, tell me something interesting about your car or about this marque that I maybe didn't know. And I didn't know, as I've always said, I don't know as much about Ford as I do British Leyland, but one of the really interesting things that I found out is that Colin was saying when they introduced the Capri, it was actually a very smaller version of the Mustang. So for the American market, Mustang, you know, massive car, but you come to Britain and a little bit of trivia that I'm going to provide for you today actually is that British roads were originally sized up for Roman chariots, so we can't really have something like a massive Mustang on our roads, and especially if people are living in small villages and stuff. So actually, as I drive this round, you can understand where that idea of the Mustang has come from, and you can kind of see where all the stylings are coming from. It feels a very American car actually, and I think for the 1970s, people must have got in this car and thought, Jesus, this is the coolest car I have ever driven. So guys, one of the things for me is that this is the only drawback of this car, is that I'm going to get Colin to pan the camera around and show you how far over I'm committed before I can even make a decision about whether I'm pulling out or not. That for me is probably the only drawback of this absolutely gorgeous car. And as you well know, I love a bit of comfort when I'm driving, and I can safely say this is probably one of the most comfortable cars I've driven, because not only do the seats resemble a velour 70s sofa, I've also got an armrest, and I feel like it's ticking all the kind of comfortable driving boxes for me. So as I kind of tart around in this car, I've got like one little hand on the steering wheel, my little arm here. It's a really good fun car to drive. And the owner of the car, Colin, is a British Leyland man, like I'm a British Leyland girl. And I said to him, I was like, why did you pick this Ford Capri? And he said to me, well, the reason I picked this Ford Capri, right, I'm going to stop the impression because that's really mean, especially when he's lent me such a nice car. The reason that he bought this Ford Capri is because, and he's going to tell me off for putting this in the video, is that when his dad had, I think his dad worked on the buses as well, and his dad had a friend down the bus station who had a Ford Capri, and surprise, surprise, for a 70s car, it had gone a bit rusty and it needed respraying, and sorry to London Transport, but they pinched a gallon of red paint and repainted it bright red. And Colin said to me, he saw that Capri, fell in love, and thought, when I'm an adult, I would love my very own bright red Capri. And that's how he's ended up with this, what I can only describe as one of the most exceptional 70s cars I have ever driven. So as you probably know from my last Ford video, when I did the Mk2 Ford Escort, which was a really nice car, by the way. So if you haven't seen that video, you should definitely tune in. And I was complaining kind of about the suspension because it was set up for race spec, and it just felt kind of very jarring when I was driving. But this is so smooth. It is so very smooth, and you know, my experience mainly lies with things that are a bit British Leyland and just a bit tat really, and this feels just so advanced. I mean, it's got some great controls on it. It's got a heated rear screen, it's got a rear windscreen wiper, and it's just incredible. The handling of the car as well is just unreal. Like, to compare it to something of a similar age, I've taken out a Marina before, and honestly, I don't wish to say anything bad about British Leyland because it is my favourite marque of all time. But it's honestly, this is like a whole world apart. The handling on it is, the only way I can describe it is absolutely supreme. As I go around all the corners and the suspension, like I've just been over a speed bump there, and where we've been driving through Kent today, there's been a lot of speed bumps and speed humps and all sorts, and you know, massive craters in the road like we're on the moon, and the car's handled all of them, and at no point have I felt, you know, have I felt that the car hasn't taken it in its stride. And it's just a beautiful car, really, and so I just love it. All I can say is, guys, is this car has a combination of everything I love about cars. It's cool, which obviously I don't drive any cool cars, so it's a bit of a novelty. It's a cool car. The seats are absolutely to die for. I wish I could take the seats out of this car and put them into my house, because they are just so comfortable. They're more comfy than my sofa at home. The heater is good, which is always a plus point because I'm always freezing cold. It's quick off the lights. It sounds absolutely amazing, and the styling is to die for. So I would say 10 out of 10 on this car because it is incredible. I've actually really enjoyed driving this Ford Capri today, and I wasn't really sure about how I was going to feel about it. So before we go, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the Ford Capri and the Mk2 as well. So the Ford Capri was made from 1968 through to 1986, and it was designed by Philip Clark, who was an American chap who worked for both Ford and General Motors. So he designed the Mustang, and then he went on to design the Ford Capri, which kind of makes sense really when people say that this is the European Mustang. Now, a lot of other people must have agreed with me on thinking this was a pretty cool car and worth driving, because nearly 2 million units were sold. Well, if we combine all the marks together through from Mark 1, 2 and 3, so yeah, nearly 2 million units. And at a time when, you know, having a car was a luxury, people don't realise that nowadays when you look at these numbers they look quite small, but at the time nearly 2 million units is really, really impressive, and it shows what a successful car this was. And it was made not only in Halewood, which is in England, it was also made in West Germany and Belgium, and you could have picked a manual or an auto. And very interesting fact is this car was actually tweaked, the Mk2 was tweaked with the 1973 oil crisis in mind. So it's given a shorter bonnet, a larger cabin, and it was the first Ford to feature a rear hatchback door, which is very interesting because it was kind of a big thing in Europe, but it was Ford's first foray into the whole situation. And the idea of the Mk2 was to make it, you know, a more everyday usable car, which is quite interesting really that wasn't in mind first of all. Guys, I'm parked back up now, and oh my gosh, what a day. This car has been it's just been incredible, and I love it. And if you're interested in this car, it will be coming up for sale soon. So if you are interested in buying it and you're based in the UK, do drop me a message. And in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed driving this car, hit like. Any comments you've got about Ford Capris or anything in general, pop me a comment below. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe, because new videos go up every Wednesday and every Sunday. And until next time, take care and drive safely.